Hi guys, Skypoint here. The White Scars have just joined the game, and so we're going to go ahead and take a first look at the cards which are available for them. I haven't seen them before, so as per usual, you're going to be seeing my reaction to it first time round. Okay, let's turn it on and take a look. Alright, so we're going to be going through in the usual order, starting from the Epic Warlord, the Rare Warlord, then going on to the Epic, talking through the Primarch, Jaghatai Khan, and then going through the cards from cheapest to most expensive. Alright, with that, let's start with Targutai Yasugai, their Epic Warlord. Sorry, their Rare Warlord, I keep saying Epic. Alright, so we did see him in the reveals, and let's take a look at what he has going on. So he's got 2 attack and 30 health like all the rares. Now he does have high initiative, which I really do like to see with rare warlords. Because they only have 30 health, they need every advantage they can get, and high initiative is a good sign. Let's take a look at his ability. 2 energy to draw a card. If it's a tactic, deal 1 to 3 damage to a random enemy. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and see in a couple minutes if a tactic-focused deck is viable for White Scars, in which case this will be a really great ability. But honestly, even just spending 2 energy to draw a card is not a bad ability. It's what Horus Heresy has, and he's a Primarch Warlord. So view this as Horus's ability with a possibility of a bonus on top. Alright, so that's not bad. I actually think you can come up with some interesting builds with him. Let's go on to the next Warlord. We're now looking at their Epic Warlord. So the orange. So he's, oh my god, I'm really bad at Chinese name. I think this is pronounced Kinza. Let's take a look. Kinza, Master of the Keshik. Like every Epic Warlord, he has 2 attack and 35 health. Now he has a card called Ebb and Flow. Let's go ahead and see if that's going to be visible. His ability is spend 2 energy to deal 2 damage to a random enemy. If it dies, then he can attack again. He also has high initiative, so his initiative is really good. His ability is a little bit hit and miss because it's not very reliable, damaging a single random target and then maybe being able to attack again. I don't know, like I see him being useful for his high initiative alone with 35 health and the possibility of throwing out a bit of damage every turn. Let's go ahead and see what this Ebb and Flow card is though. Hopefully it's at the bottom. Yeah, there we go. So it's a 3 energy purple card, meaning it's generated by him. It's not collectible. Oh, that's interesting. Return all friendly troops to your hand and they cost 2 less. That is useful in a couple of situations. One is sort of late game, you've got a bunch of powerful troops on the board, but they're pretty badly damaged. You could just bounce them back and play them out again. You could use this to sort of refresh a frontline troop, or most importantly, you could use this to refresh flank troops, right? So troops which have just hit the board, damaged the enemy, and you can bring them back in. Not a bad ability. I'd like to see how this one plays out. So that was Kinza, the Epic Warlord. Alright, now let's go on to the main man himself, Jaghatai Khan. So he's a Primarch. He's got 2 attack and 40 health like all the Primarchs. Interesting. He starts on 1 energy less. He does gain 2... for spending 2 energy, he can do a sneak attack and can attack again this turn. Oh wow, and he's the 2nd Warlord in the game to get very high initiative. So he's almost always going to go first, which is why I guess starting with 1 energy less sort of balances him. It means he cannot use his ability on his first turn, and unless he has a troop or tactic in hand which costs 1 energy, he can't actually do anything except headbutt the enemy on his first turn. That is a little bit odd feeling. You might want to we'll see if what their 1 energy cards are like. Maybe it means you want to pack Jaghatai Khan's deck full of a couple of 1 energy cards to have a good chance of trying to do something with him on your first turn. We'll see. Alright, and then, oh yeah, he's a Primarch, so we want to see his Reckoning. Let's race down to the bottom and take a look. It's a 16 energy Reckoning. Okay, -1 cost when you control no troops at the end of your turn. So remember how I said in his first turn he probably won't be able to play anything? Well, that's actually going to help him because it's going to reduce the cost of his Reckoning. So he could potentially actually trigger his Reckoning in 5 turns only if you don't play any troops for your first couple of turns. Or if your troops are not surviving, rather, by the end of your turn for your first couple of turns. Let's take a look at the Warhawk over here. Oh! Oh my! Okay, that's not bad. 3 attack with sneak attack. Wow! Alright. Now it sort of makes sense to me. With Jaghatai Khan, you probably want to be playing really weak troops who are not going to be around during your turn, or play tactics for your first couple of turns, and then you turn into the Warhawk and you do 3 attack with sneak attack. Wow! That's going to be a good cure for Commandas and Angron players. Wow, okay. I like Jaghatai Khan suddenly. Alright, let's go ahead and run through their deck and take a look at what the cards we have. 1 energy, Kondali Scout Squad. We saw this in the reveals. A little bit sub-average. These low-cost, low-health units tend to die very quickly. So apart from the 1 point of damage when they rally, you're not really going to get much usage out of these because they'll get killed easily. My guess is you'll probably see these in event play and very little in constructed deck play. Skilled Rider. Imagine this with Jaghatai Khan as the Warhawk. Battle Honor can attack again. He basically will just murder anything with 3 health on the board repeatedly. Okay, that's a very dangerous card. Let's take a look. With his normal ability, it's not bad either, because you'll be able to gain sneak attack and then attack, kill something, and then can act again, meaning you could repeatedly attack and kill stuff with 2 health, which is not a bad ability. With Kinza, you're dealing for 4 points of energy, 4 points of random damage, with the possibility of attacking again. So, it's got some synergy with Skilled Rider. Targetai Yasuge probably has the least synergy with Skilled Rider, unless you're really running low on cards, or you have a really heavy tactic deck. I mean, it might be fun trying to make an all-tactic deck with him, frankly. Alrighty, let's take a look next. We have 2 energy Chogoris. Display 3 vehicles in your deck, choose 1 and draw it. Not bad. If you put only 3 vehicles in your deck, you'll be able to choose the vehicle you need. But of course, they have so many flank troops, you probably want more than 3. So, not a bad ability. I can see it being useful. Alrighty, Close Quarters is next. Return a damaged troop to its owner's hand. It costs 2 less. This is actually pretty flexible. You could probably, you're obviously you're supposed to use this on your flank troops, right? You put a troop in play, you attack with its flank ability, it hopefully survives, and you just pull it back into your hand. You could also use it as an emergency move on enemy troops. Probably the best use of this would be on Bloodthirster. The enemy puts a Bloodthirster on your board, well, you hit it with a troop or a tactic or ability, and once the Bloodthirster is damaged, you bounce it back to its owner's hand, and now it's in this hand, it costs 13 energy instead of 15, or you could use it on pretty much any troop which is about to kill you next turn as just an emergency move. But it's probably going to be best used on your flank troops, and because of that, I think it's going to go into a lot of decks. Forgotten Sons. Return a friendly troop to your deck and buff it. Again, this sort of goes with what we've seen with a few cards about returning things to your deck. With White Scars and all their flanking troops, this is supposed to make them more powerful, so I can see some utility for it, depending on the board situation. Jaghatai Squad was from my review video. Again, returning a friendly troop to your hand, supposed to be used on flank troops, but could be used on whatever. Maybe a frontline unit which is damaged and needs to go back and play. Outriders. When you put a troop in play, give it +2 until your next turn. Again, this has huge synergy with flanking troops, so you probably don't want to put Outriders on the board as your only card. You want to save it for when you can play this and then play a flanking troop to immediately gain the bonus from it. Caravaggio Tactical Squad. If your opponent has no troops, gain +1. This is a fantastic first turn move, so but apart from that, like honestly, at any point you've killed all your enemy's units, these guys are a good move to go in, because then for 2 energy you get a good economy on that. You spend 2 energy and you get a 3/3 unit in play. Ride the Winds. Give +1 attack to vehicles in play and in your hand. It would have been nicer if this also affected vehicles in your deck, but I guess that's asking for too much. It's very situational. You need to have, ideally, 2 or more vehicles in play or in hand to get maximum benefit out of this. I generally don't like situational cards. I think this one is going to be a little bit of a pass for me. Swift Strike coming in next. It's a tactic at 2 energy. If the target dies, draw a card. Oh yeah, this is great. Jaghatai Khan will love this one, because potentially with him you can deal up to 5 damage. Well, yeah, I mean, you can spend 2 energy to draw this, and then that is going to deal damage to the enemy, and then 2 more energy to play this, and that plays more damage. So yeah, up to 5 damage from this for 4 energy. Another cheap legendary, I like these, Captain Hakim. At the end of your turn, create a copy of a tactic in the enemy hand and add it to your hand. Okay, so this is like a Jubak version. Instead of copying a card out of the enemy deck, it's more limited. It's copying a tactic in the enemy hand, assuming the enemy has it, and adds it to your hand. It's pretty much Jubak, except you can stop him by emptying out your hand. Interesting. Just like Jubak is a staple of almost every deck, I think Captain Hakim was going to go in there too. Chicken Squad. Sounds like Chicken Squad, right? Common card, 3 energy, very average stats for that. Give +2 attack to a friendly unit this turn. This has amazing synergy with flanking troops. I just feel that the stats you get for this guy are not that great. Although, with 4 health, he's quite likely to be able to survive a turn, or at least require a fair bit of effort to remove. So he might be workable, maybe in a deck with lots of flanking troops, like I guess any White Scars deck. This guy can have utility. Kumblai Bikes was from my reveal video. This is great. A nice cheap flanking troop with a fantastic reliable rally ability. Yes, please. Now imagine like you play Chicken Squad in your 3 energy turn. In your 4 energy turn you drop Kumblai Bikes, so it became a 4/3 unit. Then you play Chicken Squad on them to turn them into a 6 attack flanking unit on their first turn. Not bad at all, right? Quick Reaction. Give a friendly unit precognition until your next turn. Again, a pretty useful ability, because once your flanking troop has attack, it's probably a low health, pretty vulnerable. Dropped Quick Reaction on it, and at the very least you protect it from direct attacks, although tactics and ability can hit it, but you're also drawing a card. So really, given that a card draw is about a 2 energy cost value, you're only paying 1 energy in order to actually protect one of your units. So, not a bad ability. I think it's going to struggle for... Well, the problem is there's so many abilities which do damage that if you give a unit precognition, it's probably still going to die. I don't know. Depending on how vulnerable your flanking troops are afterwards, you may or may not end up including this. Skyfire Thunderhawk, an epic card. This one is great because it's very flexible. You get to choose between either dealing 3 damage to any enemy or return a friendly troop to your hand and reduce its costs. So for example, you could play Kumblai Bikes, attack with it. If it survives the attack, play Skyfire Thunderhawk to bring it back to your hand. More bikes. Tangahi Attack Bike Squad. So this is pretty much the standard Astartes fast one. I think it's the Sons of Horus get a similar 3 energy unit, which is fast. Nothing to say here. I think fast itself is such a great ability that this is definitely going to go into most White Scars decks. Amazed that it's just a common card. And of course, having fast means these guys can attack the enemy Warlord. Most enemy Warlords have 2 attack, so they end their turn on 1 health, meaning you can use quick reaction to bounce to either protect them until the next turn, or play any one of those other abilities which pulls a troop back into your hand in order to just bounce these guys back and play them again. Tempestuous Orders. These are a tactic. Give your troops sacrifice, return to your deck. Oh, this is great. A lot of the times your flanking troops are going to die during their attack. So instead, if you drop a flanking troop and then you play Tempestuous Orders, your troop will die and then be available for replay later in the match. I like this ability. Another tactic for the Khan. Give +2 attack to your units this turn. Note that it says to your units because that means it affects your Warlord as well. So remember when Jaghatai Khan turns into the Warhawk and he has 3 attack with sneak attack and battle honor, meaning he can attack again? If you play for the Khan, he goes up to that turn to 5 attack with sneak attack, and if he kills a target, he can still attack again. Wow, 1-man army. Okay, Gavroche Veteran Squad. When a friendly troop returns to your hand, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. This has nice synergy with all those abilities which return a troop to your hand. I would like to think this could be workable in a troop return focused deck. Would be interesting to see how that works out. Golden Star Rhino. Frontline, so this is their frontline troop. Rally, return a friendly troop to your hand or heal 2 to your Warlord. A very useful ability. Interesting stats. You don't get too many frontline units which are 2/5. I like this actually. At the very least, it's your combination of your healer as well as your frontline sort of recovery vehicle, like bringing troops back into your hand. And of course, great synergy with the previous card, Gavroche Veterans. So I like the Golden Star Rhino. We have another Thunderhawk, so this will be a tactic. Deal 4 damage. If the target dies, draw a vehicle from your deck. Honestly, for 4 energy, dealing 4 damage is fine alone. But this ability on top is not bad. Like, card draw plus 4 damage is great. There's so many vehicles in the White Scars deck that you'll almost certainly get a good chance to use this ability. Silver Blade Speeder. Fast and battle honor. So this is interesting. It's sort of similar to the Custodes bike, which is 3 attack at 5 health. These guys have fast, and when they kill a target, they don't go into your hand like the Custodes one do. They go into your deck and they put something else in your hand. Still not a bad ability. I like it. I think it's got a lot of synergy with various cards. With 4 health, you can use them to attack the enemy Warlord and then potentially bounce them back into your hand with a different ability. Vindali Bikes. 4 energy, 4 attack, 2 health. They have flank, and on the turn you put them in play, they have sneak attack. That is cool. That really compensates for their low health, and I think that means these guys will see a ton of use. I like it for sure. Agulo Void Bikes. Man, look at all these vehicles. Flank, rally, gain 2 attack this turn. Yeah, so not bad. It's 5 energy for a 6 damage troop. Yeah, definitely. I will dig that for sure. Jaghatai Head Taker, we saw this guy in the previews. First strike, gain +2 attack while your opponent has no troops. A very interesting stat line. His abilities are... His normal stats are slightly lower than average, but if the enemy has no troops, he becomes amazing. And of course, with first strike and 5 attack, there's still a lot of things he'll just be able to wipe out without taking any damage to his 4 health. So I'm enjoying the look of this guy as well. I think he could be promising. Anagal Veterans. This is Jaghatai Khan's best friend. Your Warlord has +1 attack in both his base form as well as his Reckoning form. Jaghatai Khan will be able to use this squad for sure. I don't think he have great synergy with the other 2 Warlords. I mean, bonus attack always helps, but the other 2 White Scars Warlords probably don't want to be attacking with their face most of the time. Stormseer Ulegai. Heal 2 to your Warlord when it attacks, or deal 1 to 3 damage to the enemy. This is actually really interesting. It's a unit where you can choose between using it as a healer, in which case it's going to start dying quicker, or using it to deal random damage out to your enemy. Unless there's a unit out there with only 1 point of health that must die this turn, I think you're probably best off using these guys as a direct attacker. So I dig it. It's sort of like a Ekra-Tres, except not invisible, with more health, with better attack, and it heals by attacking but does less damage. Interesting unit. I do like it. I think healing your Warlord is important enough that it's going to see good usage. Stormseer's Wisdom. This is an epic tactic. Draw 3 cards for every tactic drawn. Heal 2 to your Warlord. I really want to build a Jaghatai Yasugai tactics deck, because this will be a fantastic add to that. I think most White Scars decks, though, are going to be very troop and especially vehicle focused. And so this would be more useful as a card draw in case you're finding you're running low on cards than as a healing mechanism. We'll see. Jaghatai Sacrifice. Return all troops to their deck and reduce their cost to 0. This actually helps White Scars more than anyone else. It's an emergency bail you out situation in case the enemy has totally overwhelmed you. It buys you barely a turn for that, just because all the troops which get returned to... Actually, no, return to deck and not to hand. Oh, that's even better, actually. Yeah, so it just buys you some time, basically, in case you've been overwhelmed. I'm not sure how I feel, because it reduces the cost of troops to 0. So it means the enemy board presence, as well as yours, will then be rebuilt too quickly. Very quickly. Interesting. I want to try this card. I'm not sure how I will use it. Hopefully there's a good event deck which has it, and we'll see it in action. Ooh, a legendary White Tiger Dao. Give your Warlord +2 attack during your turn. Oh, yes. Jaghatai Khan needs this. It's gonna help him in so many ways. Wow, wow, wow. Yes, please. Okay. That's a neat ability. I like it. Iron Steed Sojutsu Void Bikes. Flank, and if your opponent has no troops, gain fast. Not bad. Their attack is pretty low, but with 6 health, they're quite likely to survive no matter what. The one thought I just have is, at 6 energy, the type of units you'll typically need them to kill probably have more than 4 health. So I'm not quite sure how well these guys will work out. Although maybe it'll combo well with other tactics and Warlord abilities, or if you have other troops already on the board. I think if we find that White Scars are good at actually maintaining a board presence, these guys will be useful. Jaghatai Khan, another legendary. Oh, neat. Oh, neat. Look at that. Rally, deal 3 damage. If he then survives for 2 energy, you deal 5 damage and return him to your hand, whereupon you can play him again. So he's basically, if he survives 1 turn on the... He does 3 damage immediately when he hits the board. And if he survives a turn on the board, he can potentially deal another 8 points of damage. This guy is there to be a match ender, I think. Especially with the, if he survives. So maybe he's a good combo with Escape Vent. To put him on the board, drop an Escape Vent on him. And then, next turn, damage the enemy, play him again. And that is a boom, 8 points of damage for you right there. Tysagan Speeder. Fast, and then rally, gain cleave to... Oh my god, yes! This is incredible! These guys can do 8 points of damage on the turn they're dropped in play. 4 points to the direct target, and then 2 points to each target on both sides. This is awesome. Yeah, these guys are good. And that's not even considering all the other buffs which the White Scars have available for units. So this unit will be devastating. Now we're getting into 7 energy. Ebon Keshik, this is one of their dreadnoughts. It's a frontline unit for them, and it's an anti-stealth unit. So anti-stealth is always a precious commodity. I see these guys being included because they've got a useful stat line, a useful ability, the front line, and they will decloak units. So yes, totally yes to Ebon Keshik. Next, Golden Keshik. This is an epic. It's flank with a battle honor, can it act again. So this is there to cull the weak units on the enemy board because it doesn't have first strikes. It's going to be taking damage every time. So you could use this to either kill multiple weak units on the enemy board or hit one tough unit very hard for 7 energy. 7 attack rather. Well, 7 attack for 7 energy. So I think this is pretty useful. It's got flexible usage, so I think that's good. And of course, if there's not enough weak targets to hit to kill it, you can hopefully have an ability to bounce this guy back to your hand and have him ready to use again. So I think it's a good card. Stormlance, this is a tactic. Destroy an enemy troop, costs 1 less for each energy troop in play. Each enemy troop in play. So unless you're really hideously outnumbered, this will typically cost around 6 at a minimum, or most probably 5 or 4 energy to play, which is not bad for a hard removal card. So definitely 2 copies of this are going into every White Scars deck. The last legendary we see, Selmeg Hawk's Eyes. Rally, destroy a damaged enemy troop. I would have really liked this card a lot more if it's rally and just destroy an enemy troop. This is slightly more conditional, but it's not bad either, so I think he's probably going to get used. Lastly, Thunderhead Predator coming in at a whopping 8 energy with below average stats. It's a good attack for the energy cost, but lower health, but a very useful rally ability. If this ability was on a cheaper card, like a 6 energy card, even with lower stats, I think it would be worth it. I just kind of feel when you're reaching 8 energy turns, you might want a little bit more oomph than what this card brings, but I may be wrong. I think it's an interesting card. It'll be very good low on the ladder. I think it's going to see less play high on the ladder. Some people will still use it, but I don't think it's going to be that popular because most of the time, expensive common cards don't tend to see that much use. Next we have a Dreadnought, Uhan Solban, a Contemptor Dreadnought with Frontline and a useful rally ability. I think that's good. This is a good, again, bail you out of trouble card. Lowering all the enemy attacks, that includes the enemy Warlord, and because of that, even if an ability destroys this guy, the enemy are still suffering from his rally ability, so he will have served to buy you some time. So I think he's going to get good usage, so I like him. And the very last one, Plains Lord Land Raider. This was from my reveal video. 10 energy with a shield, 9 attack, 10 health. This is an alright card. The main problem is once you reach Mars or Terra, your 10 energy turn is quite often your very last turn, or the game will end even before it reaches 10 energy. And so this card has its biggest effect 2 turns after it goes in play, because the next turn your troops entering play gain a bonus, and the turn after that they attack, which makes this a very slow card to play for maximum effect. So I think it's not going to be that popular at the very high end of play. So I don't like this, but again, most factions have an expensive common 10 energy unit, which is a bit underwhelming, and for the White Scars, this is it. Alright, hope you guys found this little run through interesting. I am thinking that their warlords in order of usefulness, Jaghatai Khan, probably one of the best Primarchs in the game. He only suffers from having a terrible first turn, but he can turn into his Reckoning form faster than pretty much any other Primarch in the game, and it's an amazing Reckoning. Next up, I think Jaghatai Yusugai is actually better than the Epic Warlord, because his ability is just a bit more reliable. You know that you're going to be drawing a card, maybe doing bonus damage on top is a nice little bonus. Kinza's problem is you don't know what he's going to damage, and I don't like very random abilities like that, which you cannot plan that much for. One of the most stressful things in the game is when you're playing Captain Mandragorax and the enemy has multiple units on the board, and then you have no idea what your ability will actually hit. Kinza is sort of like that, except the moment that there's more than one enemy to hit, you don't know if you're going to get a great return for your 2 energy or not. So, number 1, number 2, number 3 is my take. Alright, hope you guys found this useful. I am going to be going and taking a look at the pre-constructed deck for the White Scars next, and that video will be up in a little bit of time. Alright, until then, bye for now everyone.